Hi guys, this is Angie Sheets.
And I'm Nicole Wingate.
And we are hanging out in this crazy Indiana weather right now, but we're super glad we were able to with you guys this afternoon. Just a quick disclosure, we are both employed at Bluffton Harrison Elementary School, and we are co-owners of Speak Up.
And I myself am a speech-language pathologist.
And I'm an intense interventions teacher. So today we're going to be talking about core vocab to go. So who needs a reservation when you can get this core vocab to go? So when I am starving, like in extreme need of nourishment, like I'm going to start gnawing somebody's arm off, the last place that I should go is a restaurant that's going to require me to wait on a maitre d' to seat me. And then, wait on that greeter to take my drink order. And then wait while my meal is prepared and finally brought to me. Fat girl, guys, fat girl down. Not good for anyone involved. I get hangry. That hanger thing, that's real. And when I'm starving, I need food now, like yesterday. And some of our students are starving too. Not necessarily physically starving for food, but they're starving for language. Starving for access to communication. Our students don't have time or interest to go through the motions of perhaps more traditional therapeutic approaches. As instructors, we have the privilege to find the means of engagement to give our students what they need when they need it. So that's where we're headed today. We're going to be showing you our menu, our appetite for change here. Basically, our sit and get approach was not working. And when I say sit and get, I mean the student is sitting in front of an instructor or at a table with an instructor and watching while the instructor drives and prompts the interaction. Also, many of our students who have complex bodies, they've had such limited experiences. Their early on development did not include rolling on the floor, pulling to stand, kneeling in front of the kitchen cabinet and pulling out all those pots and pans or all those Tupperware bowls. Their experiences were largely encompassed by what they could take part in from their strollers or wheelchairs and by options being brought to them or demonstrated in front of them. And this really has a significant impact on what they're able to base language off of. Now, some of these sessions spread throughout were successful. Some of these sit and get sessions were successful, but time after time, we were seeing a need for a greater impact, a greater influence, a bigger bang for our buck, and a super value menu.
Turn. We're going to turn it. Turn. Oh, yay! It's all fixed.
It's fixed. There it is. Yep. It's fixed. No.
Okay, ready? We still got to find... Oh, good.
These are like, it's like worse than monkeys.
Here she goes.
And, okay, look, he's hanging on me. Jimmy?
No, you can't have that right now.
Monkey? You
No.
do? Look.
Okay, guys, so hopefully I'm not the only one that's had sessions like that before. So I thought I had this great therapy session planned, engaging. I had the smart board on. We're going to get some work done. Not so much. So that's what we meant by our sit and get. Even though I think this is engaging, it's not engaging for our students. So as we move forward, we're going to show you how we have gotten our students engaged and also incorporating that core vocabulary. So if we look at our extra value meal of vocabulary instruction of Go and Show, what we're going to look at today is selecting vocabulary, planning, implementing, collecting data, and embedding into the curriculum. So as we look at this, this is from the 10 fundamentals of neuroplasticity. Change is mostly limited to those situations in which the brain is in the mood for it. If you're alert, on the ball, engaged, motivated, ready for action, the brain releases the neurochemicals necessary to engage brain change. When disengaged, inattentive, distracted, or doing something without thinking that requires no real effort, your neuroplastic switches are off. So I think about how this applies to my life as an adult. So I'm a coffee drinker, and once I have my coffee, I seem to be a little bit more alert. My brain seems to be more in the mood to going to work that day and seeing my students and getting my paperwork done. And then comes lunch. And then after lunch, I'm a little sluggish, maybe in a food coma. So seriously, 1 o'clock rolls around, and I either need to get a Diet Coke or I need to get up and get moving around. And once I get up and moving around, just a couple minutes, oh my goodness, okay, I feel a little bit more engaged on the ball. I'm a little bit more alert. But think about our students with those intense needs. How often are they not up moving around? How often are they not motivated? How often is their brain not ready or in the mood for it? And if you think about some of these things when we are doing hand over hand, it can be very inefficient. If we're merely picking up their hand and placing it in a desired region, are we really getting our students engaged in their brain in the mood for learning? Or are they disengaged, inattentive, or distracted? So just some things to think about when we're looking at neuroplasticity. So a couple of programs out there, Brain Gym. I'm sure you've all heard of Brain Gym, a movement-based program that just helps for optimal learning. And then also there's Minds in Motion, and that stimulates visual and auditory processing and motor skills for increased learning. So at our school, we have a Minds in Motion area. So we had a renovation, and we were able to put that into our building renovation, so that's in the carpet. So we have an assigned person that goes and gets everything else ready that we may need, and then teachers can sign up. It's a great way for students to start their morning. If you have those students who are just sluggish or they need some movement, they can go down and do some Minds in Motion, or even throughout the day if they need a little sensory break, or after lunch, if they need to get up moving around. That just helps get their brain alert and in the mood for learning. So let's look at step 1, selecting your entree, selecting your target vocabulary. We're going to look at core lists, academic standards, and ages and interests. So here you'll find 100 frequently used core words from PRC. There's lots of lists out there, but there's a link to that through the AAC Language Lab. And if we look at that, core is the glue that holds the fringe together. So core is not the end-all, be-all, but it certainly is important to use with those fringe words as well. So why core? Well, 84% of those core words are also dolch words. So how sweet is that we can simply work on core vocabulary and also tie it back to those early academic standards. And here's just a few simple ways that we've incorporated some core words and dolch words together. I mean, using cereal, and they're using the word the, and manipulating the cereal to spell the. Bowling, here are the word cubes. And you're going to see several other examples throughout this presentation to link those core words to the academic standard. So in Indiana, we have alternate standards, which are called content connectors. We also listed Kentucky's alternate standards and a link to Ohio's alternate standards. But how do we tie core words to alternate standards? Communication is that tier 1 foundation for the alternate standards. So if a student does not have communication there's no mode of communication, how can we expect them to have access to those academic standards? So here we just have just the basics here. So you have your state standards, your alternate standards, your tier, and our alternate standards are tiered through tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So that tier 1 is that basic level. We'll go to the next slide. And that's where we establish that functional means of communication, those foundational skills of pointing, indicating, sorting, matching, sequencing. Activities associated with the skill development needs to directly relate to the content. If you're looking at Tier 2, you're looking at that basic content application, and then that Tier 3 will very closely mirror the content connector. And if you have students at Tier 3, we're going to be pushing them out more into that general ed classroom. So what do your students want to talk about? Sometimes as adults, we have our students talk about what we want to talk to them about. We really need to build on what our students are motivated by and positively reinforce their communicative intents. So if it's vacuums or trains or whatnot, find out what our students are interested in. Let's go to the next one. There we go. So here we have, a rock climbing wall, and we've utilized that in our Go and Show. Some bowling, if they want to talk about horses, maybe they like dress up. But look at the guy in the middle. Every day I wonder if today will be the day I want to scream. So often our students are not highly interested in sitting at a desk and table and listening to me talk. Our students are interested in activities that build upon that multi-sensory approach: seeing, hearing, doing, touching, smelling, tasting.
Okay, so once we selected our vocabulary, now we have to establish that plan. We know what words we're going to target. We've tied them to the content, the state standards that we're going to utilize. And now how are we going to plan for this utilization here? So we're going to brainstorm some activities. We're going to ask for some feedback. I'm hoping this works over the phone. And we're going to consider how to appeal to those senses, work smarter, not harder, and make sure your staff knows how to utilize those important tools.
Can you get a picture of a screen here? Yeah. Yeah, let's go! Go, go! Woo! Let's go! Oh! We stopped.
Okay, so this little guy was the same little guy in the very first video we played, the one who was taking apart the furniture, the one who was hanging off somebody's arm, the one who was not motivated to communicate with us through the words that we were anticipating. So what's the big difference here? This guy now was engaged. His body was engaged, and he was motivated. So in this portion, we're going to start thinking about how we can plan for that type of motivation, that plan for that type of engagement. So Nicole had talked about that core word list, that's our target vocabulary, and how we link that to our content connectors. And one of the reasons we want to start by teaching core vocabulary is that it's just so versatile. The same words can be recycled in multiple ways. But in order to be successful with this, we have to teach them in multiple ways too. So we just start with a quick brainstorming session. How many ways can we come up with to use the word, any core word? You guys want to help us out today? Let's see, can somebody type in any core word that you can come up with? Just type it in the chat box, and we'll pick the first one that pops up. I see go. All right, so let's start brainstorming ways that we can come up with to use the word go. So in the chat box, can you message me some ways that you would use the word go? I don't know if I can write on here or not. Let's see. Oh, I can. All right, I've got go home. I don't know. Oh, pardon my elementary handwriting here. I've got go home, go fast, go to the restroom, go eat. Oh, I can't write all these guys. Go more, go play, ready, set, go away, go now, go more. Oh, you guys are good. You guys have lots and lots of ideas. This is a quick brainstorming. More go to lunch. Love it. Go away. Yes, getting those rejections in there. Don't go. Perfect. Yes. Okay. So we got this brainstorming portion, right? And this is something you can do with your assistants. I love my paraprofessionals. Very quickly, we can toss out ways that we want to use. Go eat, go walk. I see more coming in. Very quickly, we can toss out these ideas. This should not be a lengthy process at all. Nobody's got time for that. All right, so we have planned at least 10, 12, 15 ways that we're going to use that word go. All right, moving on. Where do I get ideas if I can't brainstorm with them, if they're not coming to me quickly? There's lots of online sites that we can head to, because sometimes as a teacher, my idea well just runs dry. So these are my go-to sites. I love the AAC Language Lab, which we heard is getting a facelift soon, so be looking for that. There's also Practical AAC. We've got our WingsWorks site. Feel free to hop on there. And Pinterest, right? Pinterest is the hub for all ideas for everything. So utilize your resources there, your assistants, your SLP, anybody who's coming in your room. Obviously, we just popped out a whole lot of ideas for that word go. This should not be time-consuming. All right. So the next part is putting all those brains together. How are we going to share this out? How are we going to make sure everybody's on the same page? We love to utilize social media because everybody's on there. My parents are on there. My kids are on there. My staff are on there. So tweeting pieces out, using Facebook. I like to use Screencastify, too. I'm going to show you a little blurb here on how to use Screencastify. Let's just do it. So I use Screencastify with my assistants to share out ideas. See if I can get there. I use Screencastify to share out those tips of how we might be utilizing I just went blank, guys. Utilizing our word of the week, or how we're incorporating that with our lessons that we're working on, how we're tying that to our content connectors. So if you haven't seen Screencastify, it is just a Chrome extension. It's free to use, and it's super easy. If it wasn't easy, I wouldn't do it. So you're basically just recording yourself, and you can also record your screen along with it. So this is what it looks like when you do a recording. All right, so you don't need to see my whole tutorial there, but that is something that I use to share tips with my parents and my assistants. Screencastify, free Chrome extension, and it's super easy to use. So that would be a great way to share out your ideas for how you're using the word of the week. Also, share your maps and your lesson plans. When I first started doing this, I was super intimidated because I thought somebody's going to pick it apart, or somebody's not going to like my ideas, or somebody's going to think my ideas are stupid. But I'm at that point in my career that I really don't care. If somebody thinks it's stupid, I need you to add in some better ideas. If somebody has a better way to do it, that's why I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it to get your feedback. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and I think it takes a lot more villages to raise me in my classroom. So I need all the help I can get, and I had to get over myself because I'm not the expert and I don't know everything, so I need people to help me. So I share. I also send invitations. If I'm not getting feedback from people that I want their expertise, I want their input on, I send invitations to them. I need your help. Can you please help me? Would you please come to my classroom? I send videos. I send pictures so that if they're not coming, they're still seeing. I still want their eyes on my kiddos. And don't be ashamed to ask and tell. So here's the deal. I think there's a lot of people out there that really want to help us. I think there's a lot of people with great hearts and great ideas that really want to lend a hand, but I think they don't always know what to do or how to do it. So sometimes you just have to ask and tell. And I might seem bossy about that sometimes, but they need to know. People want to help. So sometimes they just need that extra direction and knowing exactly what it is I need them to do and knowing exactly how I need them to do it and when, where. They just need those specifications on how they can be helpful. And then comes that praise, and then comes that follow-up on that social media again. Wow, look what my principal did in my classroom today. Wow, check out our guidance counselor, getting her hands in there in the sensory table. Those are the praises that really help keep this going, and a great way to utilize social media to get what you need for your students. So as we're making these plans, we're sharing out all these ideas with everybody. As we're looking through the ideas to make them the most meaningful for our students, we've got to remember to appeal to multiple senses. If you want to make something memorable, you create engaging sensory experiences. So when I walk through the mall, if I'm going through Macy's and I go through that perfume counter, I cannot walk through there without automatically thinking of my grandmother. Right? She used to wear this really strong perfume, and my grandma's been gone for years, but every time I smell it, it takes me right back to her living room. Why? Because that created a sensory memory for me. It made this locked-in box in my head. I've got that there. That sense of smell made a memory that I cannot forget. Last year, Nicole and I, we went to Disney World, and I wasn't supposed to say that. Last year, Nicole and I went to a theme park, and I rode a roller coaster for the first time. And I will never forget what my body felt like. Oh my goodness, going down that track, around the bends, flying down the hill. Whoa! I will never forget what my body felt like, bouncing back and forth like that. Oh my goodness. And why do those memories stick with me? They were extreme sensory experiences. Let's be realistic. We know that not every lesson can be an extreme sensory experience. We know that not every lesson can be like a roller coaster ride. But with a little thought, we can definitely be more precise in including sensory appealing pieces in our instruction. So when we talk about the neuroplasticity, the ability to grow your brain pretty much, grow new thoughts, grow new actions is based on novelty and joy. So we go back to those earliest developing senses, way back to even in the womb. Proprioception, auditory, and vestibular. Those are early developing senses. In the womb, what do we do with our babies? We start reading to them, singing to them, talking to them. That sense of auditory receptiveness is already developing. The sense of the vestibular sense is also developing. What are our babies doing in the womb? They're rolling around, they're moving. The proprioceptive piece also, they are kicking, they are hitting, they're feeling the constraints of the womb to tell where their body is in space. These are the three senses that are going to get you the most bang for your buck, and I often advise to target those senses first when you're looking at initiating an activity. Okay, so this is the brainstorming part. I heard you guys send out a lot of messages there on how we could use that term, go, that word go, and phrases to apply it. Now let's start applying it to those sensory pieces. So I'm trying to come up with, and you guys help me in the chat box here, what is a great visual way, an activity that we could use that word go to attract to the sense of vision. You can just type it in the chat box there. We're going to holler them out. I'm thinking, what about those spinny go toys? Cars, yeah, watch that car. Get ready, set, go. Green light, go. Like it? Yeah, the stoplight? Perfect. I know a lot of my kids love those spinny light-up things. Make toys go. Perfect. Those spinning tops? Yes, got it. Perfect. What about a tactile piece? What are some tactile ways that we could incorporate that word go, those phrases in go that we were looking for? So tactile, I'm looking at things I can get my hands on. Pushing balls, make the ball go. That's right. What about turning the water on, feeling that water under my hands, make the water go, pushing cars to go, pushing balls to go, anything I can get my hands on. I see buttons, pushing buttons, yes, got it. What about auditory piece? What are ways that I can make auditory activities to utilize that word go? Ooh, I saw sifting sand there, good one for tactile. Make the music go, perfect. Make the video go. Race car sounds, perfect. Music on, playing music, yep, love it. What about oral pieces? Make something go for that oral sensation. How about blow up a balloon? Somebody chomping gum, offering those treats, sipping through a straw, vibrator in the mouth, the toothbrush, right? Blowing bubbles, toothbrush spinning, perfect. Yes. All right, what about, I'm going to hop back up here to the top. What about vestibular? Make it go. What are we doing for go for vestibular? Spinning on a chair, swinging, a blanket swing, yes, jumping, swing, perfect. Spinning on that chair, spinning on the merry-go-round, slide, yes, we want to get that big body movement, yes. Swing arms, perfect, yes. And the olfactory pieces, this is a little bit trickier. What about spraying perfume? Smelly bubbles, yes. Food smells, perfect. I mentioned grandma's perfume, right? Yeah. What about the proprioception piece? Oh, scratch and sniff stickers. I like it. You guys are on it. Yes. Smells and containers. Yeah, you could use like spices. Perfect. Proprioception piece. So we're looking at where our body is in space, right? We want those tight hugs, those type of things. How could we use that with our go? Hugs, right? Rolling into tunnel. What's it called? The squeeze machine. Body socks, good. Tickles, yeah. Fan blowing on. Oh, that could also go with visual, right? And it could also go with tactile. This is the way you're feeling. Perfect. Racing, yes. Yeah. There are so many ideas. You guys just popped a bazillion out in just a few seconds. This should not be strenuous. This should not be hard for us. Playing tag, got it. You guys are great. Okay, so we've listed off a bazillion ideas on how to use a phrase. We listed off a bazillion ideas on how to incorporate the sentences. So let's keep moving. We're going to make sure that everybody knows how to use this word. We're sharing our ideas. We've put it on. We can project it on our whiteboard so that we know what those words are. We want to make sure that all of our staff know how to locate those words. I have a lot of assistants. I'm very blessed, and they're fantastic, but sometimes I don't see them all every single day. So making sure that I'm sharing out these documents, projecting these pieces, making sure they have maps to know how to locate the target words is critical. I can't ask my assistants to do this if I don't give them all the tools they need to do it. And sometimes I make assumptions that they know instead of just telling them. If they do know and I've told them, they can overlook it there, but I want to make certain that there is no question that my assistants, my staff, know where to locate the words, know what the target words are, and have an idea what the plan is. Cool? Okay. The next part's the fun part, guys, getting creative with those resources in your building and your community. You can do a whole lot with a little. This picture here, we had so much fun with this. We were targeting the word turn, and it's just pie face. And I knew it was going to make a mess, so we weren't even doing it in my classroom. We went to somebody else's classroom to do it. And my kids, our staff, everybody was having a great time with this. Turn, 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 turn. My turn to turn. And people just started filling in from the hallways. We had our tech teacher come in. Everybody was just coming in.
Our guidance counselor, our custodian, because people are like, what are you guys doing in there? Well, if you step in the door, come on in. It's your turn.
So the more fun you're having, the louder it's going to be, all right? But the louder it's going to be, the more eyes you're going to draw. The more eyes you're going to draw, the more eyes that understand. The more eyes that understand, the more hands that want to help. Okay, so doing a whole lot with a little. I am a poor teacher. I got little buckets to spin, so Dollar Tree is my go-to, right? So what can you do with a buck? 25 balloons are $1. How many core words can you target with a $1 bag of balloons? These are just Pinterest ideas. Feel free to jump in here. This is a participation part. So if you've got ideas that are not on here that you can do with, open. Okay, open that bag of balloons. Yes, we love to start blowing it and then let it blow off, let it fly off, let it go. Our kiddos make it go up. Perfect. Our kids love balloons, and it's a lot of fun just as long as they don't have that latex allergy. Uh-oh, pop the balloon, big and little. Yes. All these target words, these core words, are great words that we can do in just a minimal amount of time with a minimal amount of utensils or items. But they're going to carry over too, right? Because how many of your early readers have that word go in them? How many of your early readers have those words in? This is a literacy support, guys. But if we can appeal to the senses first and we can gain that engagement so there's an understanding of the word, it's going to carry over. All right, keep going here. This is a fast show here. All right. Plastic eggs. After Easter, you can get 600 for $1, right? Beyond dyeing and hunting, which are also great core activities, but think outside the box. What words could you elicit with these ideas? Maracas, the pom-poms, the ice egg dino excavation. I think these are really cool. Any other great ideas for using those plastic Easter eggs? Open, yes. Open, yep. We like to hide and we like to you put anything inside there. What's inside? Shake, in, yes. I love these blowy ones up here in the top left where you can make it go up. Where did it go? Hide it, yes. Good job. Lots of easy, practical things. None of this is taking a lot of time, and none of this is expensive. Those water bottles, those spray bottles, we love these. These are $1 at Dollar Tree, too. This is like one big Dollar Tree commercial. All right, so my kids love doing the fizzing fireworks. So if you put vinegar in your spray bottle and you can dye it different colors and you add the baking soda, just about anything you want, my kids love this. So much fun. They also, what a great fine motor exercise, right? So what kind of core words can we elicit here? What kind of vocabulary can we get? These are $1, these are cheap, these are easy. Go, wet, dry, on, off, fast, slow. No, don't, right? Our kids love to chase us around the room with these. Turn, yes. Empty and full, we want to fill it up. I like this idea up here, too, of knocking down those red cups. And then you get up, down, stop, go, yes. And those pool noodles here in Indiana, we are nowhere close to pool season, so if you go to Dollar Tree, they'll probably just give you one. Tons of stuff you can do with those pool noodles beyond just making fake headrests for your wheelchairs when the headrests are broken. So the pool noodles, you can make rackets with them. You can make race tracks. You can make horses, pretty much anything. Any great ideas you guys have for pool noodles? Stick them out there. We're ready.
We've done limbo, go under.
Stop and go with those horse races. I haven't tried this one over here, the bow and arrow, but I think it looks like fun. Setting up like a target, I think that could be really cool. T-ball, my turn. Ooh, use it as a bat. Nice. My turn to use it. Perfect. You can do a lot with a little. All right, I'm going to do one more here, and then we're moving on. What about those PVC pipes? I seriously have a hacksaw under my sink at school because we cut PVC a lot. Everybody loves these push-in drop balls here. I really like this one at the top right where you can make the soccer scooter out of PVC pipe. How fun would that be? And, of course, anything that you can pour water into, pour liquid into, is awesome. That's so much fun. So many words there. In, out, more, like it, don't like it, stop, go. Lots and lots and lots of target words there. All right. So pretty easy there. Easy to brainstorm. Cheap to come up with the resources. And easy to share. Use your tools there. I love Screencastify and the social media pieces. So we're moving on to implementation.
Step 3. So grab your order and go. We're going to introduce through some video modeling. We're going to look at utilizing aided language stimulation and providing multiple activities to encourage usage. So if we want to make vocabulary functional, we have to bridge the gap between that therapeutic instruction to practical real-life application.
Word of the week is help.
Excuse me, I need help. Please, quick.
I can help.
Okay.
Help!
I'll help you. That's the way. Helping.
Thank you. I don't feel so good.
I'm here to help. How can I help you today?
I help me open this.
Yes, I will help you. There you go.
Thanks.
Teachers can help us when we have a question. Superheroes help people in books and movies. Nurses can help when we are sick or hurt. Grown-ups can help us open our snack. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
So that was an example of one of our Word of the Week videos that we have on our WingsWorks YouTube channel. So targeted behavior for teaching. Make sure you have the correct equipment, plan for the video recording, and basically when we plan, we go back through just that idea base of, okay, these are the words we're targeting. What are all the ways that we can use that word? Then we also collect some baseline data and arrange the environment for viewing. So we come up with all the ways we can use the word, and then literally we go around and video little clippets, and we get our entire school involved. And it's just another way to also build that capacity within your school district or school building so they can see what your students are able to do, and also using those AAC devices. So, I mean, in this video that you just saw, we had, you know, a nurse, we had our tech teacher, we also had a teacher assistant. This just shows, I mean, we get everyone involved, from custodial staff to gen ed teachers, PE teacher, art, you name it. And everybody is just so willing to help out, especially our general ed kiddos. They are more than willing to help. And literally I'll go around and I'm like, okay, usually it's towards the end of the day when I'm looking to record the video snippets, and I'll just pop in if they're not doing anything. Hey, you know, can I borrow 2 kiddos for 2 minutes? And it's just real quick. And then we take all of our snippets and we put it into an iMovie and put it out on our channel. So here are just a couple of bloopers. We like to have fun too, so I'll show you a couple of bloopers here. The first one you're going to see, this is our PE teacher.
Boys and girls.
I'll help you.
So it really is just a fun way to get your staff involved in helping out. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is that aided language stimulation. So it's not about mastery. Try not to get trapped into thinking that the AEC learners have to prove that they know their current words before giving them access to more. We do more harm by restricting access to vocabulary than we do by giving them too many words. So presume that potential and continue to model, and model throughout the day. When we were pushing into Angie's class, we would often show the Word of the Week video one time through, and then we would pause it after each snippet so that it would elicit a response from the kiddos. We would ask a question, and they are so motivated by those videos because they see themselves in the videos, they see teachers they know, they see peers that they know. But also during that time, it's all hands on deck. So Angie's assistants are in there, myself, I have a speech assistant, and we are modeling, and we're also training our assistants at the same time on the correct way to model. Also, we're also showing them, like, we are not proficient with this by any means, and we're learning this together. So we're not afraid to be like, oh, okay, I don't know where this word is. Let's look in Word Finder and let's find this word, so that they're also able to become more familiar with those devices. Oh, and I have a quick story, too, about presuming potential. So, and there are times that we do mask students' boards if we're doing particular activities, but we were working on the word under, and we were doing limbo, and I had a little girl in here, and I was like, come on over and do under, we're going to do the limbo, and she's sitting at my table, and on her device, she says, you should. And I was like, wait a second, did she just say you should? Because I never taught her the word should, and is that just a coincidence? Did she just happen to do that, or okay? So I just rolled with it. I'm like, okay. So I went and did the limbo, did my word under, and we continued to go. And a few minutes later, I tried to coax her over, come on over, come on over. And again, she went to her device and said, you should. I was just blown away. I mean, that just shows you that we're not giving them too many words, because they also have to explore on their device. They have to babble with their device and learn where those other words are that they might want to use that we don't necessarily teach them. So here are some pictures, and we say, if your pictures are blurry, that shows success. So just some other ways that we incorporate go and show. So here we have a student services hallway, and we shut the double doors because sometimes we do get loud. But we're working on go and stop. So we have road races down the hallway. But this lady here, this is our Title I instructor. So whoever's available, come on out and help. So we have kids in wheelchairs. We have one pushing a grocery cart. We have one on a little trike. So if they're walking or running, whatever their mode may be, we're utilizing them in that go and show. Here we have a little guy here. He's pretty much wheelchair bound most of the time, but getting him out, getting him in the tunnel, rolling his body around, giving him those sensory experiences. Here we're utilizing some musical instruments. Here, that parachute, there's so many things you can do with that parachute, up and down. Here we're in the dark, so we might even be up and down and on and off. And then also bowling. So getting our students up and moving, but also eliciting those target core vocabulary words. So this is from the Harvard Health Publishing from the Harvard Medical School. An exercise helps memory and thinking through both direct and indirect means. The benefits of exercise come directly from its ability to reduce insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the release of growth factors. chemicals in the brain that affect the health of brain cells, the growth of new blood vessels in the brain, and even the abundance of survival of the new brain cells. So indirectly, exercise improves mood and sleep, reduces stress and anxiety. Problems in these areas are frequently a cause to contribute to cognitive impairment. So think about it. If I am not sleeping well, if I have increased stress and anxiety, if I'm not exercising, my brain is not in the mood for it. But if I'm up, moving around, if I'm eating healthy, if I'm sleeping better, if I have reduced stress and anxiety, my brain is much more in the mood of being alert and learning. But think about our kiddos. Sometimes they have so many limitations and physical limitations that they're not able to sleep well. They have certain diet restrictions. They're not able to get out and get exercise. So they're already at a disadvantage. So we have to help them and help incorporate these into their day. Here we've utilized the rock climbing wall. We went and saw Santa. We had all kinds of winter games. Here's throw the ring on the reindeer antler, getting them outside. So just getting them the exercise that they typically wouldn't get.
And Nicole mentioned a little bit, some of our students with more complex bodies, I agree 150% it can be more difficult to engage them in these pieces. But on the rock climbing wall are our students right there with more complex bodies. Those are students who would some of them are students who would typically be using a wheelchair for their mobility pieces. Getting them out, giving them those hands-on experiences are so crucial to the language development. What do they have to talk about? They want to talk about their experiences, so let's give them experiences to talk about.
So this next piece is collecting some data. So we're looking at paper forms, we're going to look at some realized language, Google Forms, and labels. So here's a picture when I first started pushing into Andrew's room and we were doing the core word of the week. I thought I was great. I had clipboards for everyone with the data sheets, tried to make it simple. So whoever the assistants were working with, they could have this little clipboard. But my goodness, you can't really have a clipboard and take great data also when you need to be modeling and doing that aided language stimulation. So we tried our best, and that was okay. But we also tied that to a Google form, a digital form with a QR code. And then down here in the left-hand corner, I pretty much just took that data form and put it on an Avery label. So there's 4 labels to a page, and so you can quickly just slap it on your leg, and you just need a quick little pen or marker, and you're good to go. So I like to see, what the student's name is, the date, what words are we targeting, who's working with the student, were they able to use those words independently, or did they need a prompt? Did they verbally say those words? What other verbal words did they say, or what other words did they produce on their device during that time? So that gives me some good data. One thing I had to get over, as being a speech-language pathologist in college, you're taking data during every single session, and I had to get over the fact that it's okay not to take data every single session. You also need to take that time to have that explicit teaching and that engagement with your students. So, realized language, that's a data collecting piece in LampWords for Life or the PRC devices. So that will give you how many words are said each day, what kind of words are said each day. You can also look to see if there's certain times a day that they're using their device more often than others. I know on the Toby devices they have the same thing where you can quickly, if you're doing aided language input or modeling, where you can turn the data on and off real simply. So just another good data piece.
Somebody had mentioned to us last week that they were concerned using realized language, that if you were modeling on the device, that realized language did not differentiate between a model and the actual user. But somebody recommended maybe typing in a code word if you were going to be modeling on the student's device, so that on realized language it shows up that you are starting a modeling session using that code word. So
and you would use the code word twice, I think.
That was a clever approach.
Yeah. So here's just some quick data I wanted to share with you guys on a student that we gained. She was in 2nd grade. she's in second grade now. But she started using Lamp Words for Life in August of 2016. So if you go prior to that, before we implemented AAC with her, we were working on oral skills. So she was producing CV combinations with 30 to 35% accuracy, VC combinations 65 to 70% accuracy, and CV with 25 to 30% accuracy. So from August to February, then, she had made, after we implemented the AAC, she was utilizing an iPad with Lamp Words for Life, and since implementing Lamp Words for Life and core vocabulary, she become much more verbal with adults and peers. She continues to supplement her total communication with gestures and vocalizations, consistently verbalizing the words, yeah, no, iPad, bye, uh-oh, shh, hey, Tucker, go, backpack, more, and baby. She's also starting to use 1 to 2 word phrases verbally. So in less than a year after implementing AAC, I mean, she more than mastered what we were working on before verbally. And then in February of 2018, she was producing 2-word phrases verbally, such as my turn, your turn, and all done. She produces an average of 3-word utterances using her speech-generating device to make requests, answer questions, and/or make comments. She uses total communication, gestures, facial expressions, verbal speech, and a speech-generating device to make her wants and needs known, answer questions, label, and/or make comments. Her use of verbal speech has increased since implementing Lamp Words for Life. Currently, we need to add to this, but she is pretty much mostly verbal. If she cannot get her point across or she's very frustrated about something, she'll go back and she'll use her speech-generating device so she can be understood. But she's pretty much full verbal now, which is just amazing to me.
All right, so we've chosen our vocabulary, we've got our plans in action, we've checked out the data pieces. Let's start embedding all of this. Let's make it an everyday piece. Let's figure out how we can make this flow in our classroom. So I like to make sure that my students have access to real literature. So some people disagree with me on this, but I'm a firm believer in core vocabulary, and there are many great core vocab target books available for free or little no cost. Like Toby and on TPT, they offer several of those little core book readers, and I think those books are great for practice. But it's also vitally important to target those words through real literature, real books, the real things that their brothers and sisters may be reading, real books that they can check out from their local libraries, real books they might have in their home libraries. So if we want to make vocabulary functional, we have to bridge that gap between therapeutic instruction to practical real-life application. So Core City on TPT has this free downloadable book suggestions where they're really targeting the core words in true literature. So this is a really good starting spot if you don't already have your library built. So it helps you, once you've selected that core word that you're targeting, find some real books that go along with it. You can still use those core readers and more therapeutic activities, but when you're looking for that carryover, you want to make it real, you want to make it practical, put it into real books. I like to use the process of say it, read it, write it. So what I mean by those 3 steps are when we're saying it, that's where we're learning where the word is, where we're learning the location. We're learning how to build that motor plan for access. And when we're reading it, we're reading real books. We're actually reading those words in print. We're reading it in those real literature pieces, like I said, you can get off of Core City or other places I'm sure are available as well. And writing it. Writing it is so important. I think oftentimes we think, or I know that I have fallen into the rut of thinking that if my students have difficulty holding a pencil, they're not going to be great writers. And we've got to get past that and realizing that writing is taking an idea from your head and putting it into written language, and one means or another. So say it, read it, write it. But check it out, even when my kids are doing this, say it, read it, write it, and they are at the table, they're still engaged in sensory input there. So the gal who's with our say it piece, on the top left corner, she's in a rocking chair. So she still has that vestibular movement, even though she's working on incorporating that, because I want her to build that strong sensory memory for that engagement piece. So when we start working on that word go again, she's going to remember, oh yeah, I remember I was rocking really fast in my rocking chair. We want her to create that memory that she can pull upon for recall. My guy in the middle where he's reading, I don't know if you can tell or not in the picture, but in his left hand, he has a flippy in there, a sensory flippy. It's a silicone brush pad thing that he really likes, and he's rubbing it on his head. And chances are he's probably going to read about 3 words for me there. He's going to rub it on his head, and then he's going to take it off, and he's going to flip it 5 times, put it back on his head, and he'll be right back to reading. But by incorporating that sensory piece, I've helped to meet his sensory needs, so we're helping to extinguish any undesirable behaviors that might be coming our way, but also giving him that input so that he feels evened out, so that he's able to attend and he's able to participate. And my crew on the right there who are digging into that shaving cream, they're up to their elbows, and I'm pretty sure this picture was taken before it made it all the way up to their faces, but I'm sure it got there at one point or another. Making sure they have those tactile pieces to build that motor memory with. It's got to be engaging for those retrieval skills. So say it, read it, write it. I found these clever boxes. I thought this was really cool. It was a great idea on the AAC Language Lab. So here in Indiana, we're having a bazillion e-learning days, 2-hour delays, snow days, and we are sometimes scrambling to meet the schedule. Sometimes when our schedules get so mixed up on these delay days, we have just got to pull something quick. And I thought these play bins were a really cool idea. I thought it was great that the author here, Jenna Blaine, she had listed that she had the contents on the inside of the box along with how to play. I think sometimes as adults we forget what does that means of engaging play like for our students, especially if they have complex motor disabilities. If they're not able to reach out and grab everything in the box, how can we help set this up to be more interactive for them? Again, not an everyday piece, but an every once in a while piece. I thought that was really cool. Okay, another way that we like to do core instruction is core circuit review, and this is quick, this is fast. This is a great way to set up, it's basically centers, but we use visual supports, and you can find those visual supports in the AAC Language Lab on their blog on circuit training. All the pieces are built there for you. It's a quick way to transition. These are about 6 to 7 minute centers, and it's hard, intense instruction. We found that our students are highly engaged, highly responsive, and intensively motivated. So this is a fantastic opportunity to work on those transition pieces, moving from station to station in a safe environment too. So we target this as our review words, and we try to make it a motivating, busy time, and make it so our kids can move through there quickly.
And have a variety of people involved. So here you have Angie, who's the intensive intervention teacher, myself, SLP. Over here, Laura, she's our CODA. Sarah is our developmental preschool teacher. And then we have Tiffany, who is an instructional assistant.
So pulling everybody together for that team approach makes it work. Okay, another way to embed. We've talked a lot about our state standards, our content connectors, our alternative standards. When I look at that big old lump from Indiana and they send us all this information, that looks like a lot for me to consume. So in order for me to make it work, I have to break it down into month-by-month pieces or quarter-by-quarter pieces. And when I chunk it down, I realize that, yes, you know what, I can target 6 language arts standards this 9 weeks. Yes, I can target 4 math standards this 9 weeks. Chunking it makes it more consumable for me. When it's consumable for me, then I plot it out in a map, a year-long map. On the left-hand side, I throw out our content connectors that we're going to target during that month. I throw out our subject areas that we're hitting, and I pass it out to all my related service staff. I pass it out to our SLPs, all my assistants, and I say, help me, guys, dump in your ideas. How can you help make this work? And
yeah, we're getting close on time, but I really want to share. I'm going to try to share our screen with you so I can share this Google Slides with you on how we take then from Angie's map as speech-language pathologists and incorporate what she's working on academically into our sessions too. So we do some push-in, and then we also do some pull-out. So,
was it a live link?
Should be.
I don't think so, because it's on Ready Talk.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Sorry, guys, we've got a mistake here. We can't share our screen with you. We missed a link here, so I apologize. But if you are interested, you can email us.
Ladies, you should be able to share your screen if you just click on the share button on the top of the
Go into the
presentation.
Yeah. Chrome?
It's not going to work.
Why? Oh. I can't go in and get it. Shoot. Okay.
If you email us, if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, send us an email and we will get it to you. Sincere apologies, guys. All right. Keeping our parents informed is a really big part of embedding as well, okay? So how we do that, we utilize that social media as much as we can. So this core vocabulary piece here is a part of our school website. We push it out there so that anybody can see it, anybody can use it. We keep our YouTube channel up to date too. We push those core word videos out that we've shown you. We put them on a YouTube channel. They're there for anybody to use, anybody to see. What we'd love for you to do though is make your own. These are based on our school environment with our students and the familiar places that our students know. You want to make it real for your students, do it in your own school, do it with your own people in your own places. That's going to make it real for them, but the carryover and the embedding is going to be when you share it out. Make sure your students' parents, babysitters, anybody who's with them has access to learn too. All right. Whew, that was quick, guys. All right. What kind of questions do you guys have for us? Oh, I missed one. So those two in the first video that were taking apart the furniture again, these are those same kiddos now. Now we are able to engage in those more of those sit and get pieces because we took that time. We took the interest in their interests. We appealed to their sensory needs, and because of that, now they're able to engage in more sit and get, move through the academic tiers, and we gave them what they needed to access their communication and that sensory nourishment that they need.
So we have a question, do you ever have the core words on a chart in the classroom and model using them? Absolutely. We have the static boards, and then we also will post like the core word of the week outside of our classroom doors and such like that.
What a difference. You're right. It does make a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Huge difference. I can't believe the difference when we're, able to get down and dirty with our kiddos and experience that novelty and joy with them. They have more trust in us, and they're willing to sit a little bit more so we can incorporate and dig deeper into those alternate content connectors and those academic standards.
I'm also going to say it's a lot more fun. I have more fun teaching when I am busy, when I am moving, when I'm interacting that way. And the laughs and the spontaneous communication that I hear is just so much more, so much more.
So here is the email address. We just had a question, what's the email address? So the email address is speakupllc@speakupllc.net. It is on our last line.
Someone was asking for the suggested reading list. It is not in the handout, but it is on Teachers Pay Teachers. It is from Core City. Core City is one of the TPT stores on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's a free download on Core City at Teachers Pay Teachers.